Hello and welcome to our channel. Our names are
Poppy
and Savannah, and this is our new booktube channel where we will cover videos containing reviews, monthly wrap-ups, book hauls and other awesome bookish stuff along the way, as well as occasional vlogs.
And also, as a way of introducing this channel, we thought we'd start off the video by doing a sort of book challenge thing.
30-day book challenge questionnaire. So without further ado, so we've got question number 1. Best book you read last year?
So mine is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, because that was just so touching. Like, oh, it was intense, but like one of the best books I've ever read.
And I've heard that Jennifer Niven as well, she's quite good for kind of engrossing you in the characters' lives.
Yeah, like you see both sides of two characters and she tells like two stories basically in one.
But for me, I've got All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Goer. It's a historical fiction novel and it follows the life of a French girl who's blind, Marie-Laure, and a German orphan called Werner, and it just essentially follows their life during World War II, and it's just very insightful. You almost forget that World War II was like a genuine real thing, and I think Goer's way of like his writing style is so captivating and emotionally inspiring, and I just loved the story. It was so beautifully written, so I do recommend that book to anyone who wants to read historical fiction.
Question 2 is a book that you've read more than once.
Okay, so for me, this one I've got Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I think it is a general popular one, but again, it's a classic, and it's so short as well. You can read it within a day. I know I can anyway. And as well, speaking of Harry Potter, I'm really looking forward to the 20th anniversary editions coming out next month. So
you've ordered yours?
Yeah, I've ordered mine. So I'd recommend, if anyone wants to get their hands on one, go to bloomsbury.co.uk and you'll be able to order one there.
My one is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I just had to read it again and again, so really enjoyed it.
Can never go wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm very sad as well. But
Your favourite series?
I think one of my favourite ones are the Jenny Han books, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, with P.S. I Still Love You and Always and Forever Lara Jean. I just found myself laughing, crying, like I just fell in love with the characters and just absolutely loved that book, like all those 3 books. Yeah,
I definitely want to get into that series. It's definitely on my TBR.
It's brilliant.
For me, I've got Chronicles of Narnia. I think it's close tie with a few others I have, but Chronicles of Narnia I grew up with, same with Harry Potter, and I just I loved the characters, I loved the world building, I just loved that magical feelness of the stories and the characters, and I think it'll always stay with me till, you know, the end of my days, a bit like Harry Potter again, but it's definitely a series that really kind of...
It's magical.
Yeah, it's perfect.
A book that makes you happy. Is that the right one?
That makes you happy. So for this one...
Oh no, I've missed a question. Your favourite book of your favourite series?
Okay, favourite book of favourite series. For this one, I've just mentioned one of my favourite series being Chronicles of Narnia, but I thought I'd just go for a different answer, being The Half-Blood Prince from the Harry Potter series. I think, because obviously in that series you've got the first 4 books being quite light-hearted, and you've got that sort of orange glow and Hogwarts and stuff. It's all friendly and happy, but I think it definitely gets more interesting and more dark and serious, and I quite like those themes in books sometimes where things go a bit crazy, let's put it that way. So I'd say that's probably my favourite from the Harry Potter series. What about you?
Mine is, from my favourite series by Jenny Han, is the P.S. I Still Love You. I just found that one the most entertaining out of all of them, and I think everyone should go read it.
I'll definitely probably be reading it next month. Next question, we have a book that makes you happy.
Mine is Always and Forever, Lara Jean, or Pictures of Lily. Is it Pictures of Lily? Yeah, by Paige Toon. They're kind of those 2. That just always make me happy.
Oh, good. And for me, I've got I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the Secret Dream Worlds of a Shopaholic. It's the very first book in Sophie Kinsella's Shopaholic series.
Mm-hmm.
And I love all of them. But I just think the first one, obviously, because it's introducing you to the character in the world of Becky. And I think Sophie Kinsella, she writes a nice balance of serious storylines with, like, comical.
So the next question is a book that makes you sad.
So for me, it's actually a book I finished today, and I would say it's A Man Called Ove. I actually started the book last year, but I stopped it halfway through because I went into a reading slump. It's just so moving and raw and emotional, and essentially follows the life of an old man, and he's conveyed as like this typical grumpy imbecile, and I think that the author did such a good job in kind of pulling you in and kind of wanting you to support the character as well.
Mine is either Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. It's just got so much emotion in it, and it's kind of like a love-hate book, I think. It's got the split stories again with the two different characters, and one of them is quite a normal teenager and the other one is going through a really hard time at home, and yeah, it's just very raw. I'm also torn between All the Bright Places because I think that was just the book that I cried to the most in my life. It was very, very sad, but really beautiful as well, like beautifully written.
So next one we've got is a book that makes you laugh.
Oh, loads of books, but I've gone for Dream a Little Dream by Giovanna Fletcher. I find her writing absolutely hilarious. Like, it's just kind of, you can relate to it really well. Dream a Little Dream is basically, she's having these dreams about a man that she used to know, and then she ends up meeting him. Like, he just wanders into the office and ends up working with her, and it's really funny.
So for me, it's The Undomestic Goddess, again by Sophie Kinsella. Just loved the book so much. It was definitely one of those books that I could finish in a day, because it was so funny, and you kept getting, like, the characters get into these situations where you were going, really? You just want to keep reading it, and then eventually I finished it. I love the writing and the humour as well. It's not over the top humour, it's just right. It's not fluffy humour, like you don't feel it's forced.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was definitely a book that I can recommend for any people who fancy romance with some comical.
They're my favourite types of
books. Definitely, we all need those.
Yeah. Most overrated book.
Okay, so this one, I know you've mentioned this, but for me, I think it was The Fault in Our Stars. It's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing against the author. John Green, I know, is a good writer, and I do own his books, and obviously I have read The Fault in Our Stars. But I do think that around the time when the book came out, there was a lot of hype around it, and there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is the saddest book." Cancer is it's a very serious and emotional issue, an illness to discuss in any books. But I feel like the storyline itself, for me personally, didn't gel. So yeah, I think it was just overly overrated. I think there was a lot of people that said, it'd be the book of the year, and for me it just wasn't. So really sorry, but I just think it was overrated.
My most overrated book is probably 13 Reasons Why. I watched the TV series before reading the book, so I think I would have come out with a totally different opinion if I'd read the book first. But I loved the TV series. I thought it was incredible. But the book, I just didn't click with.
No. I think it's the writing a lot of the time. It was the way that Clay came across as well. And I think obviously it didn't help probably that because the same as me, I watched the TV show before I read the book. But even so, I think the writing was very bland. One thing I will say about the book, however, is I like that it came across that Hannah wasn't doing, making these tapes as a way of blaming people for her death.
It's more on her side, with the TV programme you get to see everyone else's side.
And the parents as well, which wasn't in the books.
Yeah, yeah, and I really liked that side of it.
A book you thought you wouldn't like but ended up loving. Oh wait, are we doing that?
No, that's the one, yeah. Mine is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I went in reading it not knowing a thing about it, and I heard it from Zoella's book club and went and picked it up, and I read it in a day, and I was just like, this just blew me away. Like, yeah, go in reading it without reading anything about it.
It's so gripping as well. There's this whole mystery with the characters, and
it's very poetic as well.
It is. It's really nice.
Yeah, little stories inside of the story, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like that kind of poetic feeling as well because it makes the story really smooth. So yeah, no, definitely I agree with that one. Yeah. So for me, it was actually the Hunger Games. So I read the first Hunger Games book when the first film was coming out, and again, it was one of those cases where the series was getting a lot of hype suddenly because the film was coming out. It's such a good series, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, and I do have them back now, so I want to reread it.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
But yeah, no, I think that it was a very exciting, thrilling series that, again, you kind of want to jump and, like, be with the characters. And although it wasn't really a world you wanted to live in, because there was a lot of destruction going on, but I feel like you could really kind of grasp the characters and understand them a bit, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, no, definitely a book that raised all my expectations, I think. So.
I loved the Hunger Games trilogy. E-books or physical books, or both?
For me, it's both. E-books are convenient, because you can have as many books on, like, as you know, a little piece of technology. You can take it on holiday, and also they're cheap as well. And I find they're good for trying out books. But I do think that mostly it's convenient. I know that I'll be taking my Kindle over when I go on my holidays in July.
You don't want to be charged extra for your luggage.
Yeah,
books. They're heavy books, like.
And physical books, I think there's something homely about physical books. I just, like you, I love reading, like having a book in my hand, and just the feel and the smell of the books. I know it sounds really cringy, but it's just nice. Yeah. And you know when you go into bookstore and you smell books? I love that feeling.
No, I completely agree. I think both. I had a stage of where I just bought loads of ebooks and then I kind of felt like I wanted them on a shelf to be able to see, like you don't get to see them on a shelf.
And another good thing as well that I like is audiobooks, which I discovered a few months ago because I wanted to listen to A Song of Ice and Fire. I just think it's so nice, like you can be in a bath or shower or something and have it like in the background.
Yeah, I've never actually listened to an audiobook.
I definitely recommend it because especially if you're in a car or something, you don't really want to listen to music. You want to read, but you don't want to read. Or if you're driving, obviously you can't read. I probably wouldn't recommend it if you're easily distracted. No, I think audiobooks are also like a really good thing to do.
A book you are currently reading?
I'm currently reading The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It's supposed to be very raw and very relevant to today's politics and issues that we see in the news. The main characters are female, and she witnesses a friend being shot by a police, and he's black. They're all black. So essentially it's inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. It follows police brutality and being black in a neighbourhood where it's mostly, you know, white people, and it covers racism and everything like that. I think it's a very interesting kind of insight into police brutality. What about you? So what book are you currently reading?
I'm reading Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon, and it's kind of, usually I'm really a fast reader, but I'm kind of reading this one really slow. I don't know if it's just because I've got a lot on at the moment, but I love Paige Toon's books so much, and I just kind of feel like all the other books I've managed to sit down and just not do anything but read. I like the characters though, I think they're cool. Yeah.
Next one we've got is a book you love but hate at the same time.
Mine is One Perfect Summer by Paige Toon, because I absolutely loved that book so much. Like, it's just got so much going on in it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a really good book.
Okay.
But it's very dramatic at the same time, and there's some bits in it that are quite dark as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. What about you?
So for me, it's actually Disclaimer by Renee Knight. I was just looking at books and I saw this one and I read the blurb and it sounded really intriguing. it's kind of had like a thriller sort of theme tone, like a really dark theme. And so I read it, and I did enjoy it. It was gripping. One thing I would say that I hate about the book is how they went about discussing or covering the topic of sexual assault. And a particular character in the book, I feel like the way it was written wasn't as supportive to the main character as they should have been. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it for people. But overall, I think it was a gripping book. The characters were very intriguing, and again, I do quite like dark themes in books. That's why I loved Gone Girl and Gillian Flynn's other two books, because, you know, they're so gripping.
Your favourite writer?
My favourite writer? I'm going to say two, this one. One of them I've mentioned a few times already. Sophie Kinsella, absolutely love. I think she's a lovely person as well. And she actually tweeted me the other day. Yeah, so
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Well,
that's
in
amazing.
fairness, I included her in the tweet, so. But I wasn't expecting a reply, but I posted a photo of my complete collection of Shopaholic series, and I said, "Oh, it's all complete," and then I input her username in the tweet. I wasn't expecting a reply, and then about half an hour later, I got it through on my phone. So like, hooray! So yeah, I think she's very engaging with her audience as well. I quite like authors who do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I think she's a really fantastic writer. She's perfect in the kind of romance, humour genre. She balances it out perfectly, because I do enjoy some romance books, but I don't like romance being too overly fluffy, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, she just balances it out nicely. The other author or writer that I like, again, she's very popular. I can't imagine that you haven't heard of her, but J.K. Rowling. I think obviously it's just her writing, her world building, character development. It's all fantastic. Like the fact that she brought up that idea on a train journey, and just out of the blue, and she created like a national phenomenon.
Yeah.
Phenomenon. She's a legend, basically. So yeah, two answers on that one.
Yeah,
what about you?
Mine, I couldn't pin it down to one. So I've literally put Giovanna Fletcher, E. Lockhart, Paige Toon, Jennifer Niven, Jenny Han, and this is a weird one, but Dr. Seuss, because I absolutely loved all Dr. Seuss books when I was younger, and I read them to my son. I've got an almost 2-year-old son, so yeah, he loves those books as well. I've read a lot of Paige Toon books, and I've read all of Giovanna Fletcher books, and I've just loved all of them. And I think they're all lovely people as well. Book turned movie and completely desecrated.
Okay, so for this one I put The Mortal Instruments, or City of Bones. I love the series, the book series, and I think the film was okay. The casting was fine. I feel like when I first watched the film, they messed out so many things from the book, which didn't really make any sense when I watched it. So, yeah, I don't know, I think it was just really cheesy as well, because the books themselves are quite dark, and they're very, like, there's so many powerful characters, very complex characters as well, like, each have their own history.
Mine is probably Twilight, because I just found the movies awful. I read the book before the movie, the first book, Twilight, and then after the movie read the rest. But I don't know, I think I kind of enjoyed the movie at the time, and then when you look back on them, they're just awful.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But I really enjoyed the books at the time, so yeah, I think the movie was definitely not as good.
Okay, so favourite male character?
Christian Grey.
That's so funny. You just mentioned Twilight.
I know.
And
50 Shades.
50 Shades is like based or inspired from
is.
fan fiction.
Yeah.
So.
Christian Grey isn't my favourite male character, by the way. Yeah, my favourite is probably Peter from the Lara Jean books, by Jenny Han, or Theodore Finch in All the Right Places, or Ben in You're the One That I Want by Giovanna Fletcher. I couldn't pick one. I love
That's
them all.
fair enough.
I want them to be my friends.
I think for me, it was definitely Luke Brandon from the Shopaholic series. Just your typical British guy who's got sarcasm, but also he's very serious. And what I like about his relationship with Becky is that it's almost realistic, and that when she does something stupid, you know, he confronts her about it, not in a horrible manner. Kind of reminds me of Omar, my boyfriend. So yeah,
very sweet.
Yeah, I like Luke as well. He's a very funny character.
Favourite female character?
Favourite female character. So I put Rachel from Girl on the Train. I feel like in the book she was very well portrayed in terms of her issues with drinking. I feel like it was very well written and conveyed professionally, not over the top. And it didn't misrepresent as well. It didn't make it out as if, you know, you should blame people who are having a drink problem. But also I think she was a very strong character despite it all. And that's what I liked about the books, is that, you know, she came out of it as a strong person.
I enjoyed that book as well.
So good.
Yeah. My favourite female characters are between Sophie May from Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher, Sarah, also by Giovanna Fletcher and Dream a Little Dream, or Anna from Anna and the French Kiss. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I just loved all those characters. They're quite sort of, I don't know, young in love girls, but they're all very down to earth.
Favourite quote from your favourite book?
My favourite quote is probably, "The great thing about the life of ours is that you can be someone different to everyone," by Jennifer Niven in All the Right Places.
That's a nice one. I actually had to look up these quotes on Goodreads.
I've
only got one. Yeah. The one that I picked out was another Harry Potter one. And it is "Our choice, Harry, that show what we truly are far more than our abilities." And I just feel like it's a relatable quote. And again, I just love that it was said by Dumbledore, because I love that scene in the books as well.
A book that disappointed you?
I'm going to say A Girl with No Past. I got the book on Kindle, and again, it was one of those impulse buys, and I was very intrigued by the blurb and the synopsis of it, but I feel like the book was trying too hard to be Gone Girl or Girl on the Train. The writing was really bland. I couldn't connect with the characters in any way. They were just really annoying. There's nothing solid in the storyline that gripped me enough to continue. So I felt bad that I'm mentioning it because I hadn't finished it, but I just couldn't.
I've not read that one. Probably won't bother.
No.
Mine is probably going to shock some people. The book that just disappointed. What is wrong with me?
Right.
Oh, for fuck. This is going to shock some people, but the book that I found most disappointing is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. Only because I read All the Bright Places before reading that book, and I came in reading it thinking that it would be just as good as that book. I didn't connect with the main character, female character Libby, and I liked Jack, but I don't know, I just didn't really connect with them. I liked the whole idea behind Jack's illness where he can't remember people's faces.
Favourite book turned into a movie?
It's not a movie, but 13 Reasons Why is brilliant as the TV programme on Netflix. Also, Me Before You.
I've not read the book or seen the film. I do own the book.
Oh,
but yeah,
it's so good.
I do want to read it.
Yeah, and I love Emilia Clarke.
Yeah,
Daenerys. Yeah, and she's brilliant in it. And also Hunger Games, just brilliant as well.
They were epic. No, definitely.
Yeah,
I'll go with that one. For me, again, it's not a film, but it still counts in the same kind of medium, but A Game of Thrones. I started the TV series exactly 3 years ago to this day, probably, because I literally binged season 1 through to 3 before season 4 came out, because obviously there was a lot of hype and people loved it, so I thought, okay, I'll start it, and I fell in love with the series straight away, and I think that's great for me because it expanded my interest in epic fantasy, which has never really interested me before, because obviously it's so heavy loaded with so many characters and so many locations. I think it was just everything was spot on. for me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Best TV programme out there.
Mm.
So, favourite romance book?
My favourite romance book is, again, I've mentioned this series so many times in this video, but Shopaholic Ties the Knot by Sophie Kinsella. I don't know why, it's just... I just loved the characters so much at that point. I feel like there's so many funny moments that I can remember from that book. There's something about weddings and people getting married, like you just feel so giddy and happy inside. And I just really liked that book. It had such a beautiful ending. I was just so pleased that, you know, Becky and Luke tied the knot finally, and it was just a nice moment.
Spoiler! Mine is You're the One That I Want by Giovanna Fletcher. My boyfriend Dan knows how I got with this book. I was just like making squeals and just crying, giggling. Yeah, I was like, and he would just look at me like, what are you doing?
The first novel that you remember reading?
The first novel I remember reading would be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
It's the same as me.
Really?
Yeah.
High five. But the first book I remember hearing on like cassette tape was The Hobbit.
Yeah, my option or answer for that was the first Harry Potter book. Again, there's so many memories that are flood like to my mind whenever I reread the books. It's like I remember because I was in France when I first read the books, and I remember the exact spot I was sitting at, and I remember just kind of going into the book and I was, you know, going through the pages like so quickly, and just like really happy moment.
A book that makes you cry. Made you cry.
This one I put The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. It was so powerful. To be honest, I went into it thinking, it's not going to make me cry, because obviously, you know, it's quite a popular book and everyone was raving about it and talking about the film as well. But actually it did make me cry. It hits you, because that did happen, and those families did go through all that turmoil and devastation, and it was so hard-hitting towards the end. I didn't expect it to be written that way, but it was just like, oh, okay. And then like the tears start coming in, and it's like, oh.
Mine is, I've got a few, as always. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven was just streaming with tears. One Perfect Summer by Paige Toon. There were a few parts that just make you cry, especially a dog part in it, which you'll know if you read it or if you've read it. And also The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, because again, that's World War II, just very real, and you go in reading it you know what's going to happen, but it
hits you, doesn't it? I enjoyed it in the sense that like she wrote so beautifully, and very kind of poetic as well, and it definitely hits you, because there's so many like entries as well where they were so close to being found out.
It's just terrifying reading it, and you see that you're almost on the last page and you're like, no, this can't be it. A book you wanted to read for a long time but you still haven't got around to reading it.
For me, it's Ready Player One. I can't remember who the author is, unfortunately, but it's been on my to-be-read list for as long as I can remember. All I know about it is that it's essentially like a dystopian book where you've got these characters in a virtual reality video game setting, and it follows obviously the story of this boy who is in the competition itself, and he wants to find this golden ticket that will reward him with a lot of money and like a trip somewhere. It's been on my TBR list for a long time. I need to get to it.
Yeah, let's get to it. Mine is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I've got the book, I just still haven't read it yet, and I definitely want to read it. Like, everyone's gone on about it.
A book that you wish more people would have read?
I think anything by Paige Toon or Giovanna Fletcher, and also anything by Abby Glines. She's got lots of different series of books. The ones I've read are Fallen Too Far, and all those ones, Never Too Far, Forever Too Far kind of ones. They're really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never heard of her before.
She's very good. Good romance, kind of. Yeah, and new adult, young adult.
You're very convincing with your recommendations. I think for me, it's More Than This by Patrick Next, which I believe you have borrowed as well.
Yeah, I haven't got around to reading that yet.
I think that's just a really good book. Again, I kind of went into the book not really knowing too much about the story or the characters, which I quite like sometimes. I've never read a book like that before. Essentially, it's like a mystery, otherworldly book.
A character who you relate to the most?
Ooh, I'm going to say Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. I don't know why. I feel like she's a very underrated character. I'm not saying I'm an underrated person, but she's very sweet and giving, and she cares a lot about her friends and people around her. And I like to think that I'm a very caring person.
Yeah.
She's also a bit weird and crazy, but in a beautiful way. She has her uniqueness, and I think we all do anyway. So it's all something we can relate to. And yeah, she's very passionate as well. She's a very passionate and forgiving person. So I feel like I can relate to her characteristics a lot.
And you're totally nuts as well.
And I'm totally nuts.
Mine is probably Sophie May from Billy and Me, by Giovanna Fletcher, because she loves to bake and I love to bake, and like I've always wanted a cafe.
Oh.
And she works in this cafe. But she's very down to earth, very real, but then she meets Billy, who's this movie star, and she's still really real the whole way through their relationship. Like, yeah, I just really like
change
her.
how she views life.
Yeah, exactly.
A book that changed your opinion about something.
Girl Online by Zoe Sugg and Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher kind of have the same sort of story where it teaches you to not let anyone take away your own plans in your own life and let theirs take over like your plans, kind of thing.
Finding Audrey, again by Sophie Kinsella. Essentially the book follows the story of Audrey, who has anxiety and suffers from it. And I think what I took away from the book rather than discovered is that, you know, life has its ups and downs. It's okay if you have anxiety. It's not something that makes you a weird or crazy person. You know, it's a very common thing, and I feel like the way Kinsella wrote it is so relatable and true that I could relate to it to an extent, but what I took away from it is that indeed life is up and down. It's not like, you know, a straight line on a graph. It's
a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster.
The most surprising plot twist or ending?
I think for me, the most surprising twist, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I read the book. I absolutely loved the book, by the way, and I wasn't trying to get ahead of the story. I wasn't trying to figure out, you know, what happened to Amy and everything. I just read it. I thought, I'll let the characters kind of, you know, invade my mind and tell me, rather than try and be too clever. You know, there's some books where you want to try and figure out, but I just think it was actually, for me, surprising.
I haven't read the book, but I watched the movie and I was like, whoa. Mine would be We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, because just the ending, like, yes, crazy. Or Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. Just the ending again, you just don't expect it. I think I kind of thought maybe that could be what's going to happen, but yeah. It's quite unexpected. It's very good. And
we also book swapped recently, so I've got Everything for the moment. So next one we've got favourite title of a book.
Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. I just love that. It's a brilliant title.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Green Eggs and Ham. I am Sam. Sam I am. Would you like some green eggs and ham? No, Sam, I am. I would not like green eggs and ham. Would you? Could you? On a boat? I would not, could not on a boat. I would not, could not on a goat. Mine,
I would say, is Devil Wears Prada. I forget who the author is. I think it's a nice, snappy title.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw the book, it was actually around the time when the film was coming out, or had come out, and it was quite a popular talking point at the time. I just think it's a very hip, chic title.
Yeah. What's your favourite genre of book?
Typically, I read contemporary fiction novels or young adults. What I'm doing this year is trying to kind of go, like, spread my tastes out in other genres, like read more dystopian, read more classics, read more epic fantasy, and also mystery and thrillers I read a lot of as well, because I like dark themes. I don't know if that says anything about me. I'm just trying to branch out my tastes a little bit.
I'd say mine is definitely the more romance genres. I always kind of steer towards those. New adult, young adult kind of books. A little bit of fantasy. I probably haven't read that many fantasy books, but I would like to read more.
Last but not least, your favourite book of all time, if you can answer this question.
Favourite book of all time? Like, how are you supposed to pick your favourite book of all time? I've put down 3 different books. I'd say my favourite book of all time that I've read so far would probably be All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I've also got down We Were Liars by E. Lockhart and To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han.
It's so difficult because obviously there's books I've read when I was little and I still love. Books that I discovered like a few days ago that I love. Or just
always changes, doesn't
it does. What I'm going to go with is the very, very first Chronicles of Narnia book, which is The Magician's Nephew. And I just love how Lewis writes. It's very descriptive and beautifully written, and I love the characters, I love the world, I love the magical feelness of it. I think that book will always stick with me. So I think that is all 30 questions.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
If anyone has any further questions they'd like to ask us, then we'll include all our social media links in the description box.
Yeah. Write a comment below.
Write a comment,
give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to for more videos. We're going to come out with some more stuff soon.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
And see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.